What is going on, everybody? Mario will get here. Infighting Exchange, Infighting FX on all platforms. And yeah, we got the Monday Combat Sports, whatever. It's going to be a melee. Yo, shout out to Muriel. I like that name, Muriel. Is that what it is? Oh, Muriel. I don't know. WWE Rhea Ripley Hall of Fame 2026. Already you want to put Rhea in the hall? She's great. Maybe one of the best of all time, maybe the greatest of all time. But champ, I mean, we didn't put Ali in the Hall of Fame when he was fighting Joe Frazier. You know what I mean? We didn't put Tom Brady in the Hall of Fame when he was winning all his championships. Let her have all her belts, let her have all her success, and then we put her in the Hall of Fame, after years of wrestling take away from her back and everything else. So anyway, we have a lot of different topics to cover today. Let me promote this thing. I forgot to do that. Okay, so Jay Uso versus Gunther 2026. You think they're gonna run that back again? Buddy Murphy versus Logan. Okay, now you're just talking AEW and shit. Give me 1 second, guys. Yo, yo, yo. Have you decided what? He said I show Speed versus Finn Balor. Yo, I actually would love to see that. No, I know it's a good one. What'd you say, baby? Did you decide? Well, I'm good with whichever. Yo, let me ask y'all a question, right? When y'all are eating healthy, does Jason's Deli or what's the other one called? McAllister's, do those register as healthy? I don't know. I mean, not for me. They have healthier options. That's the way to put it. Because I have the beef eater, and let me tell y'all, there's nothing healthy about that. It is essentially like 2 pounds of like fatty meat and au jus sauce that has your cholesterol go up to like 5,000. Uh, but fuck it. It feels good when you can call it like uh like healthy food, right? And not feel bad about it. But it's not like it's a pizza or some shit, you know what I mean? But anyway, we're gonna get into all the topics, but to go over sort of a little like overall topic list for the day. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. I had this whole outline for I had this whole outline set up for the overlay with all the topics, and I forgot to send it to my damn computer. That's all right. That's all right. Listen, we're gonna do this off the top. So, I have Shushan coming through about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and we're gonna talk about Boots Ennis, and we're gonna talk about who the fuck he's even fighting. Because I'll be honest, I never heard of Usi Uisma? Uisma? How you say that? Let's find out. Let's find out together so we can all learn. Oh, you're just putting random shit. Got it. He got mad. So this is a WBO. So this is gonna be the Ennis Lima fight. Is scheduled for October 11th. So this is nearly a month after Crawford Canelo takes place. Now, the belt, this is being called, first of all, his first fight at junior middleweight, which I take some issue with, because when you do catch weights, that's 154. Nobody says you have to weigh in at the max every time, right? In fact, that's one of the other aspects of this that I want to talk about, and that is Terrence Crawford and the unfairness of what has transpired over the last several or a couple weeks, I guess, in relations to Snack, Victor Conte, Boxing Ego, and a bunch of other podcasters and boxing content creators. And yeah, man, just taking L's all day, bro. All day boxing, just taking L's. I mean, I see Boxing Ego, like, if he has a smoking gun because somebody accidentally put the wrong date, right? Like people challenging Victor Conte to like the stupidest shit. Like, oh, why don't you show us a full list of ingredients? This is somebody tweeted it at him this. Why don't you send us a list of ingredients that's in all of your snack products for transparency? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't know shit, then shut the fuck up. Stop talking about this. You have never done any research into supplements or the supplement industry, and you're giving this guy softballs. You understand? Like, okay, so like if you took somebody who's not in the sport of boxing, who's never really associated with like sports or knows anything about Victor Conte, and then you were to show everybody what's transpired over the last week on Twitter, bro, people would think Victor Conte's the person being affected, the victim in all this. Because listen, I get it, right? I get the Victor Conte shit. I get it. He got caught with Balco. First of all, most of you that complain weren't even alive back then. Second of all, you understand that in America, people that commit crimes, like high level crimes, right? They end up getting flipped, right? And anybody know the name Frank Lucas? Why don't you look up the name Frank Lucas and see what he did when he got caught? He turned state's witness. He turned state's evidence, right? He took down the whole mafia, or a lot of the mafia, a lot of the Italian mob in New York City. Somebody go look up the movie Catch Me If You Can. It's a great movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. It's a terrific movie. Tom Hanks plays a FBI agent in the fraud department, right? So like bank, like checks, like fraud checks, like banking fraud, things like that. Those were his, that was his area, right? Like there's arson, and then there's robbery, and there's drugs, and there's murder. He was the financial nerd guy. Matt Machine Gun in the building. Champ. The Machine Gun getting swole as all hell out there right now. So this guy that Leonardo DiCaprio played was essentially a person who wrote checks and did it at a high level. They were all fraud, right? And Tom Hanks is chasing him for years and years. And he's a kid, by the way, Leonardo DiCaprio. And this is all a true story. That's why I'm saying this. So, years and years and years, and they don't catch him, and he's always like one step ahead, and he's just slipping away and all this stuff. It's a great movie, like I said. Martin Scorsese, I think, directed it, if I'm not mistaken. Or somebody. It had a A-list, like powerful director. But the story is true. And the trueness of the story is this. This kid spent a couple years committing fraud, and eventually the FBI caught him, and he was sentenced and punished. Well, as he's in jail over the coming years, more and more sophisticated fraudsters would come out, and they would have, more advanced checks, things that were harder to call fraud. And they recruited this man who sent the FBI one of the longest goose chases of the history of that organization. This guy eluded them, embarrassed them, made them look like fools. So why did they ask him to be on the team? So why did he work for the FBI and work with the agent that brought him down to come up with some of the most sophisticated banking protections that are still used today? Why was that the case? Because he got caught and he got flipped. And smart people know that you either let this guy go back out there and figure some shit out and do this all over again, or you flip him and you utilize him. You make him state's evidence. You make him part of the team. Now, the situation where you always got like a rogue cop, like undercover, trying to figure out what's going on inside this gang or this cartel or whatever. And now you have it in a situation where this guy who's the criminal is now finding out what's going on in the FBI and everything, because they're all working together. He made a living off of this. They wrote a book. And again, they design check protections that are still used today. Now, I realize that, Victor Conte is not state's witness anymore. I realize that he's not working with anyone, right? He's kind of out on his own. But you have to understand that that is the plight of a criminal. That is the plight of somebody who has a specific understanding of how things work. He has been flipped. That's the narrative, right? He was this guy who basically made baseball suck balls to a lot of people because of steroids. And they painted this picture of Victor Conte as the mastermind, and he was, right? He's one of the most responsible people of that era in steroids and for Balco and for all of the things that happened with Major League Baseball, track and field athletes, all that was predicated upon him doing what he did. Now, what has to be understood is that he's been caught. Okay. So he's on a radar, or was on a radar. He has no clue where this radar is or isn't, where it's dead or not. He has no clue who's looking into him and who is not at this point. I'm not saying that he wouldn't risk it. I don't know Conte like that. And I'm not saying that he isn't doing anything. I'm saying there's no proof. I'm saying that he's already been caught, and for everybody who's trying to make him out to be this monster who's single-handedly responsible for every single failed drug test, it's just you're missing the point. You're missing the plot. It's easy to point your fingers at a fighter that failed. Conor Ben, you piece of shit. Victor Conte, you ruined the sport. That's so easy to do. But the truth is that you're mad at the wrong people. The system is in play to be manipulated. The system is in play for you to finagle it, for you to get over on it. And it has to be understood that while I fully believe that if Victor Conte wanted to get back into the performance enhancing business, he could. It needs to be understood that the the labs that produce certain things, right? They have handlers. Like, once you're out of that game, you're out of that game. I'm not saying he couldn't get back into it, but he could never get back into it without blowing up so many radars. He could never get back into that PED game without setting off alarms on multiple federal agencies. Okay, so every time you go out there and you talk shit to this guy and you complain about him and you say, no, your background dictates that you have no business doing what you're doing. Wrong, false. That's your lack of fucking knowledge on this. Because history shows that wanted criminals who mastermind these massive drug cartels, and that's really what it was at the end of the day. It was a single cartel. He wasn't a single. He had people on the on the ticket and stuff, but this was a mass organized thing. If you think that the agencies that protect against that, like, none of that it doesn't matter. The steroid game is so far ahead of boxing, of football, of baseball that it's ridiculous. You're mad at Victor Conte, but you're mad at him for no reason. Like, you're really, like, it would be like you're mad at no, that's a stupid metaphor. I don't know. I can't think of a metaphor, but it's dumb to be mad at him. It's dumb to hold him to the fire. Because first of all, you have zero proof. Second of all, what you're doing is whether you know it or not, you are unwittingly calling out people that have never test positive for steroids, calling out people that have never popped dirty, right? You're calling out all these people just for an affiliation. And again, I get it, but the sport is riddled with cheats. These aren't this isn't me just guessing or talking shit, right? Those are the words of people like Paulie Malignaggi. Those are the words of people like Chael Sonnen, who have come out in the past and said crazy numbers, like 80-90% of the sport is on that juice, right? I don't have any problems at all with snack. I don't. You know why? Because it's not new. It's not something that's brand new. Like, yeah, maybe boxing never had its version of that, or maybe they had like smaller versions of that, right? But the NFL has things like snack, or football players, I should say, track stars. Every sport has their snack or their Victor Conte or whatever. I don't find the value in slinging accusations based on past convictions, because number one, I'm an American and I believe in America shit, even though the vast majority of the country doesn't even know what being America is anymore. I do. And that is, when you have paid your debt to society, you get a chance. You get a chance to redo it. You get a chance to run it back. A lot of you that may have listened to me when I was on the Boxing Voice, How many of you know that Ness went to jail? Ness went to prison. His rap sheets on the internet, and you could see, should he have not, like, I get it, it's not steroids, it's not the same thing, but to suggest that somebody who got convicted of something should be punished further, I don't know, we're just not the judge and the jury, and at the end of the day, this guy has so much knowledge about the body and how it works, right? And it's so crazy to me, the people calling him out are like fat and don't work out and have zero understanding of the way supplements work and things like that. I'm not here to cheerlead for Victor Conte, but that's what y'all fucking did. And not y'all, like my community. I'm just saying, like, X put us all in this position where a bunch of morons who got hyped up by some third-rate fucking podcasters started going after this guy and making him look good. You all made Victor Conte look great. You all made him look like he's on the up and up, and y'all dipshits don't know how it works. That's the way it read. And you don't even get it because you don't know how stupid the questions you're asking are. Like, I'm sorry. It just makes zero sense to me. Like, it's Victor Conte. Like, why wouldn't you work with him? Why wouldn't you want to be part of Snack? Like, yeah, I understand. Again, it's Victor Conte, but that's also the point. You want to work with the guy that has the knowledge on how to produce an athlete and how to get the best version out of him, right? And you could say that, oh, well, you don't know what's in this stuff, blah, blah. But the truth is that it's very easy to get samples sent off, right? If you're an athlete, if you're a boxer, if you're a wrestler, if you're a baseball player, if you're not putting money every month, every week into your body, whether that be checking supplements for their authenticity, whether that be getting routine blood tests or whatever, those should be the things that you do to make sure. All I know is that for any of the fighters that have failed in the past for Snack, it's been a situation where most of those people weren't even like training at the Snack facility, right? When they talk about being a Snack fighter, there are levels to it, right? There are those who have a more broader access to everything, right? Or people that Victor Conte works with specifically, right? To design specific things and programs for them. But then there are the other guys who literally are just like signed up to a fucking Amazon subscription cart that, drops off whey protein and BCAAs to your fucking house every month. Supplements are taken in every facet of the sport. To suggest that everyone should leave Snack because of Victor Conte's past dealings, you just sound stupid. It sounds so stupid. Why would they leave? Why would they do that? Let's say for a minute Conte is cheating. Let's just say that, right? I'm not saying he is. I have zero evidence. In fact, I have evidence to support that he's been on the up and up. But let's just say that that's the case, okay? The truth is, if you're a fighter and this money, it all stems from your success and winning and being better than that other guy, why wouldn't you want to be with Victor Conte? Why wouldn't you want to be with a guy that at the end of the day is going to at least get you? Like, it's stupid. It's just so stupid. So you're saying I should get on Snack to get leaned out and yeah, bro. Exactly. You got to get in there quick, bro. Listen, we have a lot of other topics to get to as well. UFC Paramount deal has been announced today. A major swerve. Major swerve. How this came about, I'm very interested in. I mean, if you see the optics for the last week and what TKO did with the ESPN deal, right? And like everything they said, they were like, "Oh, the deal's almost done. Oh, we're almost done with the deal. Oh yeah, we're gonna have that deal announced soon." Most people thought it was gonna be ESPN. Most people thought it would be ESPN. However, that was not the case. That was not the case. So this is from Dana White. Uh, all right. No, yeah, that's what. No, if you see the mic go mute, it's probably because I'm farting. I mean, that's got to be it, right? My bad. Listen. So Dana White said this about his deal with Paramount and CBS, which let me get the exact parameters. Babe, uh whenever you're ready, I'm ready. So UFC is moving to Paramount with a 7-year, $7.8 billion deal. Matt said TKO signed for $10 billion, right? Deals in 7 days. Bro, bro, bro. Like, if you could count WWE as a franchise, like, I know it's not like the Cowboys or like the Astros or anything like that, but it does work in a way like a franchise to a degree. Um, that franchise is worth a lot right now. And when you have TKO, you know what's funny about it? It's not funny, but it's something to discuss, I think. Do you remember when CM Punk came back to AEW and he called himself half a bill Phil or one bill Phil or $1 billion Phil or something like that? Because it had seemed like AEW, through its connection with CM Punk, was going to get a half a milli deal from Time Warner Discovery. Now, that didn't go down the way they thought. It ended up being substantially less, about half less, I think. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, it was one bill, Phil. Thank you, Matt. Uh, yeah, I don't know what happened, and it's got to be strategic. But from the outside looking in, this looks like ESPN traded up, right? They got rid of boxing. They got rid of MMA. At least I think that there's not a. So, yeah. Why it didn't go to ESPN, I don't. There's no way to know right now, but it definitely feels like I said, strategic. So this is from the Associated Press, and they said Paramount will become the new home to the UFC events in US under a 7-year agreement with TKO Group announced Monday. The deal has an average annual value of 1.1 billion, the company said. Under the deal, Paramount will exclusively distribute the UFC's full slate of its 13 marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights on its streaming platform, Paramount Plus, with select number of events also set to simulcast on CBS. It's a shift away from the UFC's existing pay-per-view model, which Paramount and TKO say will allow the mixed martial arts programming to reach more consumers nationwide. Paramount's advantage lies in the expansive reach of our linear and streaming platforms. Live sports continue to be a cornerstone of. So, okay, so what he's saying is basically like Paramount has put themselves in a situation where they know how to do live sports. Okay. We've seen it already with the NFL and what they've been able to do on Thursday nights, and really, really did a good job, by the way, of making Paramount an NFL network, right? And now CBS has always been one, obviously, but it's hard. It's hard to make that transition, whether people understand it or not. It's very, very difficult. I urge people to look at what would be a good example? Mm, can't really think of one. But anyway, real quick. So Dana White said this historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. For the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model, making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. This deal puts UFC amongst the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by the Paramount and CBS networks under this new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who watches and loves this sport. Matt said Thursday is NBC. You're thinking of, oh, yeah. Sunday is CBS games. My bad. No, wait. No, you're tripping. Isn't there a point in the season where they switch, right? Isn't it like Sunday Night Football on NBC for like the first like few, like 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, and then it didn't it go to Paramount after that? I don't remember, but it was definitely the Sunday night games as well. But at the end of the day, like they've had football on their platform, is what I'm trying to say. And Matt's probably right about the Thursday night football stuff, but um, having a streaming platform that's already set up to stream like that and knows the logistics, that's a win. That's a dub, chat. That's a dub. That's a big dub, right? And oh, you know what? I can't believe I didn't even think of this. I urge you all, if you don't believe this, to go and look at what happened with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Netflix has been one of the premier streamers in North America, right? Or in the world. They handled library before everyone, live streaming before everyone. I mean, they've been on top of the streaming world forever. So you would have thought, oh, well, if anybody can handle a billion fucking people coming in to watch this circus act, it would be Netflix, right? You would think it would be Netflix. And look what happened. They crashed. It was a horrible, horrible broadcast for them. Sunday is also on the cock. Oh my god, Matt, you fucking dumbass. That was hilarious. Literal tears. Sunday's also on the cock. Hilarious. So anyway, yeah. Oh, and I gotta show this one. Mario Boxing needs to follow suit and put the final nail in pay per view. Yes. Thank you, champ. Because let's go back to what Dana White said right here. He said, oh, that's not it right there. Where is it? Okay. So he said that the exposure provided by the Paramount and CBS network as it relates to this deal is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who loves and watches the sport. They're saying the exposure to casuals who don't pay the 50, 60, $75 for a pay-per-view, right? Who don't think of Saturdays as fight night, right? How do you reel those people in? Well, you show them some of the best fights in the world. I've always been of the mindset that if you match the best fights, the best fighters more consistently than not, you put yourself in a position where you are you put yourself in a position where you are where you have where you have a window or you have a platform for people to see. Keeping things behind the paid wall is so stupid, especially in this era. Like, oh man, it's just so weird. Like I would love to be in one of those meetings one day. I would just love it to like see how they make sense of it all, right? Like, hey, we got to do this pay-per-view. Yeah, let's keep doing this pay-per-view. I would be the guy that's like, hey guys, y'all know that everybody's stealing the pay-per-views, or yeah, everybody. Everybody. No, literally everybody. I can show you right now on Reddit where to get the link to the fight. You want me to show you? No. I can show you where on X or TikTok or Twitch or Kick where you could stream the fight. I could show you a website if you want too. And it's not because I'm trying to show people, it's because I'm trying to show you how easy it is. Because it's fucking easy. Matt said, if the UFC is out of the pay-per-view game, how can boxing and wrestling, for that matter, stay with that model? This changes the game for everyone. Yes. Thank you, Matt. Very good point. Man, I had asked Abe to be on. Shout out to Danny Limelight, by the way. Danny Limelight cashed in this weekend on Zilla's big ass and took the title. Shout out to Danny Limelight. Shout out to Booker T, bro. I think Booker needs to come through and start booking for Triple H. That's right. I said it. I think Booker T should be the new Booker. I think we need the T and not the H. Pause. That sounded weird. I don't know what that meant, but that felt like I said we need testosterone, not heroin. But for real though, like Danny Limelight, first of all, shout out to you. You're the champ, friend of the show. Super proud of you, champ. He put out this tweet this past weekend. And you can follow him on X, Danny Limelight Rivera. Danny Limelight on IG as well. Yo, Matt said no. Why, dude? Give Book a chance. Well, you said no so fast. What I couldn't even imagine what you'd have against Booker. Like, not because you think he'd be good, but why would you think he'd be bad, right? I just feel like there's no real knowledge for both, but I love the booking he gave this weekend, so that's good enough for me. But yeah, shout out again to Danny Limelight. Been killing the game, bro, for so long on the indies. Absolutely deserves this. And look, I'm ready to see what he's about to do next. You know, Danny's a crazy dude, bro. Like, he's smart, right? Not like wild crazy, like he can't control it. Like, he taps into this thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like this East Coast, like gritty, like concrete jungle New York shit. And yeah, he is now the reality champ. Shout out to him. Fuck no, how about that? Matt, you're terrible, bro. Come on, big dog. But listen, I want to move on real quick. We are going to get into the boxing topic of it all, but we're going to wait for Shoeshine to come through. I want to talk about Kross. And I want to talk about all of what he's got going on and the fact that they're saying he is cut and this whole thing that feels like a big old work now at this point. I want to talk about that. Before I do, though, I do want to mention real quick, you know, Abe had said that he thought WWE was switching to the pay-per-view model a while back. And as time went on and we started to see more and more things, I realized, you know what? He might have a point here. In fact, it looks like they are, to a degree, you know, gearing up for something. It looked like they were trying to get away from what they had with the network, right? Where everything was under one bubble. And it was like, oh, pay your $9.99 and get access to everything. I miss those days so much. Peacock sucks. There is no Raw. Most of the SmackDowns are gone. And it's just like this limbo. And that's the problem right now. WWE does not understand that they've conditioned fans over the past decade and a half to expect a certain level of consistency from the product. And I'm not even talking about the creative aspect of it, right? I'm not talking about the actual show or the TV time. I'm talking about the product itself, right? Like, I should be able to watch the product the way that I want, when I want. And that is how it was conditioned in me as a fan. Right now, Peacock just feels like a big fucking waste. It really does. There's no rhyme or reason there. It's like, hey, did you like wrestling ever? Well, here's a crap load of wrestling. Like, I don't know. It just, the network was so good, right? It just had everything structured well. The layout was way better than Peacock. And I know that's because Peacock has a million other things. So, it's really hard to talk about it like that. But I just think that the pay-per-view model, as Matt said, is a dead one, right? I mean, come on, like, what do I have to do to tell y'all that it's so easily stolen these days? It's so easy to steal pay-per-view and fights. Like, how can I not make this more clear to y'all? Because it's like every time we double down and we tell you or we show you in a big way, like, look, we're stealing these pay-per-views. You come along and you increase the price. You come along and you increase monthly subscriptions. You come along and make rules like, no, you got to be subscribed to ESPN Plus or DAZN to be able to order the pay-per-view. Fuck you for that, bro. DAZN, first of all, has had some of the worst consumer practices of any streaming site ever. The issue that I have for it, though, is that exactly what it is. Machine Gun called it pay-per-view was on life support. Yeah, bro, you said it. You said it. It was on life support. And today it feels like anyone associated to it is also headed towards life support. Now, obviously, TKO and UFC and boxing are still thriving in many, many ways. But, it's like when you pick the wrong model, things don't go bad right away, right? Like, there was this time in the world where VCR was dying, right? VHS tapes were dying, and people were wondering what was going to be the next model. Now there was DVD, right? And then came Blu-ray. So before the Blu-ray, it was like there was Blu-ray and then there was like HD DVD or something like that, right? And these are two different formats, two different models. And from what I understand about the history of it, essentially the porn industry basically dictates what model is followed. And there are a lot of companies that went bankrupt simply from picking the wrong platform or the wrong media form to present their product. Um, I think the UFC is doing a really smart thing. This is something that I've been saying in boxing forever. If you can give exposure to the world, then they can see the best parts of boxing or MMA or wrestling or whatever. I was never a soccer fan ever. I hated soccer, in fact, growing up. I got to college and a lot of people were into soccer at that point. I got to see round one of the FIFA of the, I think it was 2012, maybe, FIFA World Cup. And I got to see Germany play and America play like super early in the morning, back to back. And there were these moments that really, really resonated where it was like, oh my God, he's about to score. Holy shit. And I get it's like, oh, they almost score like 1,000 times. That's kind of the point, is it all builds to this one moment, right? It's like a team that's ground and pounding the ball, across the 4-yard line every time, inching out these first downs, and then all of a sudden at the 40-yard line, the guy throws the Hail Mary for the touchdown. Like, that's kind of what it feels like to a degree. All these things need to evolve. That's for sure. But I don't know. Like, we've been here so many times before. If you think about it, like, don't get me wrong, the UFC deal, the WWE deal, TKO is doing an incredible job. These deals are historic, they're monstrous, but we've also been here, done that, right? Like, how many times has WWE um outdone the pricing model for their company? Like, how many times does WWE knock it out of the park with one of these deals, right? Fox was momentous. Before Fox, the was it USA? Right? They were still on USA, right? I mean, before that, and there's Spike TV, there's TNT. Was it there? No, no. What was it? TNN. I think that was Spike TV. Now that I think about it, maybe not. Um, but there's just like so many different evaluations you could give. I just don't think that the TKO game plan, like, I don't know, I just figured they were gonna do more along the lines of, like, meshing all of the IPs and brands together to present, like, this conglomerate of sports entertainment, right? But it really does feel like they're still, like, doing things separate, like, being on Paramount and one being on ESPN is completely not what I thought they were gonna try to do. Um, I don't know. Cross promoting is definitely hard. Let's put it that way. Yo, real quick again, shout out to Danny Light. Cashed in and pinned Zilla for the title um on Saturday night. Shout out to him. So Danny posted this on X. He said, after my match last night, Jey Uso came up to me and his exact words were, "You got it, Us. Charisma, skill level, for real, Us, you got it. Booker T told me, you earned that spot. You're the champ now. Earn." Y'all don't know how deep that hit for me. Champ, you deserve it. You're one of the real ones. Everybody here at Infighting FX, super proud of you. Keep it up, champ. Yo, I might gotta go to the H though, for real, to go have that celebration with the champ, bro. Yo, where are we gonna go next time we're on the H to celebrate? That's what I want to know. Okay, so we got the Paramount, we got the okay, and then now on to Karrion Kross. So Karrion Kross has reportedly been fired by his own words. He was removed. Shout out to Matt who he kept me on the beat this weekend. Uh he had been removed from the active roster page of the website www.com. That fueled speculation, and then Kross put out one of his documentaries that he is been putting out routinely, I guess. Like, it's like part 6 now, if I'm not mistaken, or I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, he spoke about being released and that he was released and he had been cut and all these different things. What is the truth? That's what we want to know. Now, I will say this. I have no doubt that this, or not that I have no doubt. I am much more in the camp that this is all a work. Now there's a couple of reasons why I think this is a work, right? First, Paul Heyman's interview the other day. I mean, he put Karrion Kross over. Why on earth would he have done that if WWE? I mean, he called him the new Stone Cold, I think Matt had told me. That's crazy, bro. Like, you're not doing that to somebody you're letting go, right? It's kind of like the R-Truth shit. R-Truth never felt like a work until it did. And since then, they have gone out of their way to make sure that we aren't fully in on it. Whether it was or wasn't a work, we don't know still. If I had to put money on it, I would say the R-Truth stuff was not a work. I think he got let go because there was no more value they saw in him. Some reports suggest that it was John Cena that wanted to wrestle R-Truth. And if that's the case, did Triple H even want to put R-Truth in that position to wrestle Triple H? Like, did he feel obligated to put him in the position because Cena was dictating certain things? I don't know, but all I know is that you brought him back and you didn't do shit with him. Literally no storyline, nothing. He had a 1 week start feud with Aleister Black, and within 2 weeks it was over. They changed his name to Ron Killings, and then he's now R-Truth again because John Cena came back. This is what has to be understood, right? WWE literally went back on everything they did. Like, why they should refund all of our money for tickets, for pay-per-view, or streaming. All of it. Because what did we watch over the summer? What did we watch in WrestleMania? Like, what was all of that? It was nothing, because you just fucking reset and you literally just erased it all. The Rock, Travis Scott. And this is what I hate so much about WWE, is that they think they can book things and then just like change it up. Like, yeah, of course, everybody can do that. And yes, of course, sometimes you're in a position where you have to. But it's like, if you really believed in that Travis Scott booking, if you really thought that Travis Scott was going to be your guy to take this program home, then you must have been confident enough that you could have reached out to another rapper. Lil Yachty's there like 90% of the PLEs. Why don't you just ask him? Call Kendrick. You can call Pusha T. I bet he would love to come on WWE TV and talk shit about your man's Travis Scott. I bet he would love to do that. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all aren't thinking about shit like narrative. It's like you think you could just put anything out there and we should just eat it up. I'm sorry. The Karrion Kross shit's taking too long. It is taking way too long. And unless you got something dynamite ready, I ain't feeling it no more, bro. I'm not. I mean, what? It's dead. It's over, bro. Like, we're talking about shit he did from WrestleMania. And Paul said it. He said on that, I was going to say Sam Roberts. He said it on Ariel's show, right? He said that when you take too long, the fans put over Kross. And when you take too long and you upset them, that's when they revolt. Now, usually it'll get a superstar over more. But you're talking about an era where people didn't think, oh, they're all in it together. Like, nobody thought about it that way, right? Stone Cold really hated his boss to us. This don't feel that at all. Karrion Kross feels just as culpable at this point. I get it. WWE is the big place and you want to succeed there, but I don't know, man. If this window is missed on Karrion Kross, if they do not get him over, I'm not saying a push. I'm not saying, they need to push him. No, that should have happened a long time ago. Now they need to get him over at the next level. Now you need to give him that Roman Reigns type booking. You need to send him out there and dominate everybody. It don't have to be in like a wrestling match. You could just beat the shit out of the dudes, because that's another thing. I don't know. I had asked Matt to be on because this is like one of the topics that I really want to ask him about, because when I think of Karrion Kross, I don't think of a WWE guy at all. And when I think of Karrion Kross in the situation that he's in, I think more and reflect more on his time in NXT. He was the world champion you know what he was? He was the Vladimir Klitschko of the NXT World Heavyweight title. He's great, but the era is not really great anymore. He's great for the era, but it's kind of dying. Klitschko's the last king of a dying heavyweight kingdom, right? And it's been reestablished. We could say that for sure with Usyk and Fury and Joshua and everybody else that's made it a great era of heavyweight boxing. But I'm sorry, like, I can't sit here and say that Karrion Kross has done good in WWE. This has been his best run. This right here has been Karrion Kross's best run. But he was the champion in NXT. But I don't think anybody really cared. He was one of the worst champions, if we're being honest, in terms of what he was able to get from the crowd, what he was able to gain and then give and produce as champion. Like, if you remember the classic gold and black NXT, then you remember Samoa Joe. You remember Finn Balor. You remember Kevin Owens. You remember Sami Zayn. You remember Cesaro. You remember all of the people that made it a very, very special show. The gold and black era, I think, will be as fondly remembered, or maybe just slightly less, than the ECW era. Honestly, I don't think that that's even a question. I am confident that that ends up being the case. I'm going to say Karrion Kross is not fired. I'm going to say that we likely see him tonight or sometime in the near future. But I don't like it. And I don't think they do either, the WWE. I think they remember Karrion Kross time in NXT. And I think they're trying to protect him to a degree now, it feels like. He was so massively over to the point where now it feels like they just don't want to break it. Like, they don't want to break this egg that is Karrion Kross's heat. Like, it, I don't know, man. They dropped the ball with that one so bad. What do you do now with Karrion Kross? You got beat by Sammy. That whole thing went nowhere. And really, the only reason I would have believed any of this stuff is because of how shit the booking was. But man, if WWE and Triple H do one thing really well, that's convincing guys who haven't had great booking that great booking is going to come, right? Like, they're so good at convincing the wrestler that their shitty run was like nothing. Like, nobody cared. Like, it's not a big deal. We were all doing that to get you to hear. No, bullshit. No, you weren't. Karrion Kross is not fired. Karrion Kross is going to probably get his moment. I don't think it's going to work. And not because he's not great, not because the gimmick hasn't worked, but because too much time has passed on this. It's like the New Day, right? The New Day were one of the hottest acts in the company at one point, specifically on Raw. And they just got buried, bro. I mean, they didn't get buried like the way that wrestlers get buried. They got buried like A-side stars get buried, right? By giving them shitty TV time that has no context, that has no narrative, that has no storyline. For weeks, they went to go interview the New Day, and then they would cut away because something more important was happening. What? Why did we do any of that? Where's the storyline in that? It brings us all back around because it's all full fucking circle, right? Brock Lesnar, same situation. Now, I don't have a problem with them bringing back Brock. I don't. I don't, because I don't know what's true and what's not about that story. And the other thing is, all I know from what I've read, now I've heard there have been several updates, so I definitely need to get into a mode to read that. But from what I understand, he was offered and she was used as a bargaining chip for that. Now, I didn't hear that Brock took that bargaining chip. I didn't hear that Brock played that card. I just feel like Brock has value. And you don't have to like him as a wrestler. In fact, you can hate him, and that works even better. But it's the Karrion Kross situation. What's the narrative? What's the storyline? Please remind me. Because as far as I'm concerned, Brock Lesnar went out and buried Cody as champion by fucking brushing right past him like he didn't exist and going straight to John Cena. Now, for Karrion Kross's situation is very different, right? But it's also not, because where's the narrative? Where's the storyline? There's nothing about the Brock situation that makes any sense, right? The narrative right now is that Triple H and Nick Khan called Brock and told him, it's time to come home. Are the streetlights on now, or why we got to come home? Like, what you talking about? Brock Lesnar isn't a problem because he's canceled or on the verge of being canceled. I mean, that could be a problem too. I have no idea what's in, what the women's attorneys have, but I can tell you that he is a problem in the sense that story-wise, he doesn't work as anything but a heel right now for what you did to him and putting him in that position to just go out and attack. I could think of a million different things that are more creative than nothing. You could have. What if like you started a faction called Brock's Guys or Vince's Guys, right? You could have had it like that, and they all been in a position where they're like, "Hey, we're Vince's guy," and that would have worked for me, for sure. But right now, we're gonna switch over to boxing. Shoe Shine in the building. What's going on, champ?
What's good, Mario? Glad to be back on your platform.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. By the way, appreciate y'all on IG. Thank you. Oh, what's up, Gina Kins? Appreciate it. Mark. Nobody wants to fight Boots. Yeah, or Boots doesn't want to fight anybody. Listen, first of all, Shoeshine, thank you for coming through.
No, I appreciate it.
For everybody out there.
Do you want me to share it on my platform as well, on my channel?
Whatever you want to do, champ, you absolutely can. Yeah,
you.
Absolutely. For those that aren't subscribed to Showtime, you can go to Shoeshine Boxing. I said Showtime. Shoeshine Boxing and sub on YouTube. But yeah, just in time for the boxing portion. And I'll give you some time to set that up and go over the overview of everything. And what we're seeing is Boots Ennis is now in a situation where he is fighting for not an interim. Is it an interim title, right? No, it's eliminator, right? Or what is it?
WBA eliminator.
WBA eliminator. I think I said WBO earlier. I meant WBA.
Yeah, I think he just got ranked too by, I think the WBC. I gotta check, but I think the WBC just ranked him #1 contender. Just like automatically
at 154.
I gotta check. I swore I read that. Don't quote me on it.
No. Listen, I mean, that would not be super shocking, but let's see. What the heck?
2 days ago, Jerome Ennis tops WBC junior middleweight rankings.
Jesus Christ, dude. That is so nuts. That is so nuts.
Yeah, he hasn't even found the division.
Wow. That is all politics and the power of promotion. Listen, we know Boots Ennis is going to fight. We don't know who he's going to fight. No, we do know who he's going to fight. We just don't know who it is. The young man's name is Lima, and we were going to find out how to say it, and I forgot to look it up. Uisma is how I thought it sounded, and that's a very good pronunciation. Good job. The name of that event is perfect. Master Plan. Boots will fight for a full title when the bell rings in September for Canelo, but that's a very good point, actually, and that's good to throw in here before we get Shoeshine's breakdown. But essentially, he's right. The narrative is there, right? The moment the bell rings for Crawford and Canelo is the moment that other belt, his 154, is just vacated, right? So by October 11th, that fight is for a full belt and likely very, very much part of the plan as they wanted it. I don't know Lima Uisma. I don't know who he is. I don't remember seeing him fight ever. I don't remember him even being on an undercard. I watch most undercards, if not all of them, and the name does not ring a bell at all. It's been a very long time, for me at least, since somebody of the notoriety of a Boots Ennis has stepped into the ring at this level of his career, at this stage, with somebody who is almost completely unknown by hardcore standards. Shoeshine, what are you thinking here, man? What's going on with Boots? What do you think of this opponent? What do you think of this master plan to hijack a belt? What's going on? Tell us.
All right. Okay. What you guys need to know, because I didn't know who Lima was either. So I dug into it a little bit, and the best fight available to watch is the person we lost to is Aaron McKenna, the Irish fighter. It was a smaller show, I think, on Boxer, and it really tells you what we can expect to see from a Boots Ennis matchup against this contender. Aaron McKenna, his sole loss, but digging deep into Lima's record, his past 4 fights, everybody's been under. They've got a combined record of well over, I think, close to 70-1. So he's fought a stretch. He fought a stretch of undefeated fighters, and maybe one of them had 1 loss. And then his last loss comes, I guess, about 5 fights prior to Aaron McKenna, who's a strong Irish middleweight contender who's undefeated and actually could be a future star himself in that middleweight division, which is kind of like, in limbo. But no shame in that fight in the loss to Aaron McKenna. He's very awkward, and he does look very strong. And he may have even fought, if I'm checking this out, I think he may have even fought guys in the middleweight division. So he's going to be able to deal with the strength of Boots Ennis, but he's unknown to American fans. Boots Ennis being a star in America, it doesn't resonate with me that he's fighting somebody unknown to American fight fans when we're struggling domestically here in the U.S., right? Amongst this big news today for the UFC. And you got this potential American superstar boxer. The sport is, in America domestically, it's just hanging on by a thread. And then he's fighting somebody unknown. So there's a lot to criticize about that. But how will they sell the fight? It's a great month, October. I'm going to actually, just talking to my wife today, I'm like, you know what? We need to send Drew Evo. Drew needs to go. My co-host needs to go to this fight. We need to go to this fight. I don't think the fight is going to be a one-sided blowout at all. It's just, unfortunately, he's an unknown fighter. He's an unknown commodity to domestic U.S. boxing fans, and probably even European. He fights out of Portugal. It's not like Portuguese fighters, Spanish fighters make a lot of noise in the European circuit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First of all, great point. And I'm so glad that you are the kind of boxing content creator that would go and look this guy up, right? I went live like right as I was seeing it, and I was like, man, I wish I would have just taken a moment before going live to just look at his box rec and just, you know what I mean? I knew I'd do it at this point, but I'm glad you went a step further and you saw that. I am of the mindset that I don't believe that any fight is a waste, right? You can gain something from every single fight. And I truly believe that. Now, here's the problem I do have with it, right? Because while I trust your take, Shoeshine, I've known you for a long time. I trust your boxing take. I'm not going to bet the house on Boots anymore. I promise you that. That said, though, this is a bad move. I don't know if it's a bad move. Let me just say this. It's the move that puts you behind, bam, on the stable of Matchroom for Americans that matter. When you look at that Matchroom stable, right, specifically the American portion and how it's used, Bam Rodriguez is levels above Boots right now. And that is for so many reasons, but one of them is absolutely who he's been fighting, the kind of performances he has been putting out. Let's not forget, guys, that over the past couple of years, Boots has turned out some of his worst fights. Now, he's never really been in trouble or anything like that, right? But he has bored the shit out of people many times, or few times. to the point where his dad, the famous post fight, where his dad just looking pissed off at him the whole time. It's like the whole time because he wanted his son to throw. He didn't throw. He wanted his son to move and get inside. He didn't do that either. He wanted him to throw uppercuts. Never did it. And so when you look at the narrative of Boots, right, who I believe is an incredible fighter, who is super talented and might be the best at 154, he doesn't deserve to be there right now at all.
Especially,
but he might be.
It's an incredibly deep division, right? One of the most talent-filled divisions of all boxing right now, too. I'm sorry, Mario. Go ahead.
No. I thank you. You're absolutely right. I just feel like while this can be a great positioning move, right? You get yourself a title. It does nothing for your name value, right? And even if titles add more money to your purse and they, look great on a poster and all that, it doesn't give you any value with the Tank fandom, with the Canelo fandom, with the American fandom that drives boxing in this country, which isn't hardcores like you and I in our community. It's a situation where we are almost put in the back seat for a Boots' career that hasn't yet started because 147 wasn't going to be the place. So maybe it's going to be 154, but we're still not ready. We need a title. We need wins. We need and acclimating your body. That's great. That's fine. I've got no problem with that, but putting a title on the line, even an interim one at that, no, I'm sorry. I have a lot of problems with that. A lot. And look, if Boots were to come out and been ranked number 1 and then fought like Fedor or something fucking crazy right away, oh, bro, I would have been like, no, this dude deserves it. This dude, I mean, look what Haney's doing, right? And they're cut from the same cloth, it looks like. But
Sure.
That is not the case. They are continuing to try to manipulate the career from a narrative standpoint of Boots. And it's right back to the whole American, timelines that we've seen from Top Rank, where they call it the Top Rank diet, right? How long is Boots going to stay on a diet of not fighting the best in the world? Because I think he is one of the best in the world, and I think he's ready to show it. Maybe a little harsh though, right?
Yeah,
maybe a little harsh. That's fine.
They seem to think that the best fight in the division is going to be Boots versus Virgil Ortiz. And then this week they had some news that scratched the surface. Maybe it was premature, maybe it's not, but it came out of Eddie Hearn's mouth that they've agreed in terms to Virgil Ortiz versus Boots Ennis at 154 for 2026. Neither of them title holders yet. Is it the best fight to make when neither of them have titles? How about you? Like you just said, you brought up the Top Rank diet, but hey, shout out to Xander Zayas for being the youngest champion right now in the division and in all of the sport of boxing. Feed me. Get this going. Get the Xander Zayas versus Boots Ennis happening. I don't want to cover Ortiz. Give me that fight first, And speaking of Top Rank, today we hear that Top Rank fighters will be on the Danny Garcia, 2-division champion from Philadelphia, will be having a club show. Well, he's a promoter now too. Is it Madison Square Garden? No, it's where the Brooklyn basketball team plays. He's going to be having
the fight,
and the entire undercard is going to be Top Rank fighters. So,
whoa, what?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, it's top. It all ties in. It all ties in.
No, absolutely. Wow, I had no clue that was the case. Very, very strange. I remember there was this big Philly card that was supposed to happen right before the pandemic, and it was 2 like local fighters. Who was the promoter or not promoter, but Raging Babe was putting the show on. I remember, and it got stopped. But the Philly crowd, they're the best. They're some of the best fight fans when activated. Now, I believe that California probably has the best purist boxing fans. No, I would say New York. I think LA has the most rowdy, or California has the most like wanting for blood, right? But that crowd though, dude, that crowd is really important in Philly. So I get what you're saying, and you've kind of gotten me to come around a little bit. Shout out to the Prophet and JC in the building. What's going on, champ? AC Walker, champ, good to see you. Walk with Rhonda as well. The thing is this, right? I didn't see what you were saying, and now I do. They are setting the stage, right? This isn't just about getting Boots acclimated to 154, but that's important. This isn't just about getting Boots a piece of tin in the form of a title that can make a bigger fight at 154, but that is part of it. This is, though, also about him fighting in Philly, reestablishing that fan base. So, Shushan, I don't know if you know this, but I used to be a rapper. And in my days of rapping, I was told by a producer, nobody makes it at all until they get their city first. You got to get your area behind you. Then you get your city behind you. Then you get your part of the state behind you. Then you get your state behind you. Then you're part of the country, and so on and so on. And there's nobody who's ever, I mean, maybe now with SoundCloud and YouTube and shit, but there was nobody who's ever skipped those steps. You have to be over with those people before you can move up. And that may be the best point I think you've made, because that could be where Boots is in a sense. Yes, he is physically there. Yes, he has shown the skill set to compete against the best in the world. But is he there here? Financially, is it there? All the things. If you're going to take a gamble by fighting the best in the world, guys like Xander Zayas, guys like even Ortiz, which I agree with you full-heartedly. And by the way, great point, bro. Don't try to milk us this Boots Virgil Ortiz, a fight where neither one of them has truly shown us that they should be fighting for the number one best, right? There are plenty of guys in that division that could beat a Virgil Ortiz or could beat a Boots Ennis. So don't manifest this black versus Mexican fight at 154 because you know it's going to sell tickets. We need to see Zayas first. You're absolutely right about that. We 100% do. And I'm sorry. I love our Mexican fighters. I do. But I'm sorry, Verge. You need to take a seat back. And it's Boots and it's Zayas because they're the ones that have been fighting. And I'm not trying to punish you for getting sick or injured or whatever it was. But at the end of the day, that is an aspect of this. Yeah, I'm on board now. But he's not going to get the fans, though, Shushan, right? He's never going to get the fans on board with this type of fight.
You talking about Boots Ennis?
Yes.
Yeah, it's well, it's going to sell well locally in Philadelphia. I expect it to be near sold out, especially if they put together a decent undercard. But Virgil, I got to see him in his first debut at 154, and he came in at 156. He was coming off that illness, and the fight that they sold us a fighter who was undefeated from Africa. Maybe he was undefeated. I don't know, but an African fighter couldn't, but he last one round. The second fight, division. Yeah, and the second fight at the division was also at 156. So all those people criticizing Boots, I'm just telling you, look at this guy's resume. You can watch him versus Aaron McKenna, who's a solid middleweight contender right now, and that's all you need to know. The guy can crack. He's crafty. He's also kind of awkward. So he may go the distance against Boots Ennis, which he'll need those rounds to acclimate him to the division. Regarding Xander, that fight is really marketable too. Okay, you got Atlantic City in between New York, Philadelphia, which is the perfect place to host a fight, to bring the Philly fans, to bring the New York City fans down.
Yes,
if they can make that fight in Atlantic City in early 2026. But it looks like they're trying to negotiate this Virgil Ortiz fight. Hopefully, one of them can pick up a title along the way, but I don't see it. They may cause more harm and more damage than otherwise if they put that fight together too soon. I think both of these guys are strong contenders, and one of them could end up with the title in hand, in my opinion.
Great, dude. Great point. Really, honestly, and I love the Zayas comment because people forget about him a lot. When it comes to the Verges of the world. I mean, how many times do we ever really hear that names together? But we heard Verge and Boots since like before the pandemic. They were matching their names together. You know what I mean? Shout out to Matt, bro. Machine Gun, you are so tapped in, bro. I cannot believe I forgot about this name. But Boots versus Keith Thurman. I get it. Keith Thurman was in a situation where he was headed towards a fight, and now it's like, what do you do? But that name is valuable, okay? And what he did in a country filled with boxing freak fight fans was essentially establish a new fan base. Do you consider Keith Thurman a legit player at 154, capable of hanging with the Zayas, with the Ortizes, with the Boots? Or is Keith Thurman simply a big welterweight name that will be used to build up a legitimate 154?
Yeah, it's the latter. Man, he's a great, he was a great champion at 147. His time has passed, but he looked so impressive against what the guy fought primarily at 140, the Australian fighter. He looked good. He looked good there, right? Kind of reminded you of his one-time era where he used to knock people out. But again, that was a really small fighter coming up in weight. He did the fight with Tim Tszyu didn't materialize, and it probably really hindered Tim Tszyu more than it did Keith Thurman, because so much of the career trajectory of Tim Tszyu just, it went into the tanks because that fight didn't materialize in 2024. Keith Thurman walked away fighting a lesser opponent and comes off with a knockout win in Australia. Is he a viable name at 154? He's a great name on your resume. He is. Yes. He is. And if you knock him out, even better, But again, he is a welterweight who's unproven at 154. But he's there. I mean, if you guys, somebody is looking for a
yeah, but you made a point earlier about Lima, which I did see. He's fought well above 160 before. He's fought as high. There was an opponent that weighed in at 171 against him like a couple years ago. So he has fought high up there. I value that. Action. I value that experience for a Boots more than a Thurman. But that said, look, I'm going to call people to come over for fight night on October 11th. I don't expect more than 2 people to show up. Now, if it was Keith Thurman and Boots, I'd expect to be getting calls that week. Hey, where are we watching the fight? Hey, what are you doing for the fight? So I don't know. You're right. Boots needs to establish himself. He needs to acclimate. And Keith Thurman might not be that name or might not be that fighter, but I think the name does carry value. By the way, Walk with Rhonda, just a heads up. Yeah, we're live on both channels, my channel, Infighting FX on YouTube, as well as Shoe Shine. That's why you can't see Matt's comments, because it's going through my channel. And so, yeah, we have them all listed. But yeah, Matt,
that's a great feature.
Rhonda,
by the way,
Rhonda meet Matt.
There's some content creators in my chat too. So if you guys want to get on board with doing dual streams, sign up for the free StreamYard. I think you have a link in your description, right? Infighting FX.
Yeah, I forgot to put. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I have it open all the time. Y'all are all more than welcome to jump on, get your call on, debates, whatever. It don't matter what you got to say. We're here for it every single time. Monday through Thursday, I go live. Plus, I'm live on Fight Night. I would say like 80% of the time I'm live on Fight Night. But anyway, I wanted to ask you real quick about this Paramount deal with UFC. Now, I want to ask you in a more broader sense, right? TKO, who has the WWE, has PBR, professional bull riding, and has the UFC. I assumed, as many, that after the announcement that WWE was going to be on ESPN, we were going to get a press conference or a media blitz last week or sometime this week announcing the ESPN re-up deal with the UFC. That's not what happened. We have now heard that Paramount has them for 7 years, something like $1.1 billion a year for the next 7 years for the UFC to stream on Paramount. Now, from the optics, Shoeshine, it looks like ESPN got rid of combat sports in favor of WWE, right? That said, there's still a lot of rumors that I'm hearing that boxing is not over with ESPN. In fact, I've heard that there are a couple fights that they are negotiating the potential of a one and done type of deal, getting back to that sort of action. But I want to ask you,
bring me back Friday night fights.
Oh, please,
bring
God,
me back
Friday night. Oh,
give me the Prospect Contenders show. I don't need big names. I mean, they proved it on that platform that you did not need the big superstar names. Bring me the guy who's going to be somebody on Friday night with a low budget, Joe Tessitore. I don't need the superstars on ESPN. Just give me those up-and-coming guys, which is what basically Zuffa Boxing and Dana White is going to be doing with their boxing league, right? Oh, man.
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. You know who I would hope they'd bring back is Brian Kenny. I really like Brian Kenny. I mean, that was like a long time ago with like Max Kellerman on Friday Night Fights,
Yeah,
but that was
Brian
my
Kenny
era.
and Floyd Mayweather. That
Oh
the
yes.
shoulder
Oh
roll video kind of went
yo.
viral again, right? Those were the good
Oh,
times
I
for
know.
ESPN.
Yes, dude. It's so funny, Shoeshine, that you said that. I noticed like a while back, like a couple years ago, that clip just goes viral like every year, like a random month. It just pops up and it's millions of people that engage with it. But yeah, Brian Kenny, dude, he was a G, bro. Him and Larry Merchant, bro. Just two guys that I'd love to see fight Floyd 2-on-1. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Rhonda. You're the best. Seriously, so sweet of you. I appreciate the sub very much. For those that don't know, Infighting Podcast used to be my channel, and we were violently kicked to the Shadow Realm. So appreciate every sub on our march back up very much. So
Yeah.
listen,
If you haven't subscribed to Mario, do it right now, guys.
appreciate it. Same with Shoeshine, one of my favorite, honestly, one of my favorite people just in
Well, I
general.
appreciate that, man.
But
This is
listen,
huge news. Today's huge news, guys, because there's a lot of people in my chat that may not watch boxing religiously like us. It's a a mixed group in my audience here, but everybody follows to some degree the UFC news, and this is
sure.
monumental. This deal, guys, 7-year deal with Paramount, who used to own Showtime, right? Paramount, CBS, talking about bringing the biggest events potentially to primetime CBS, which is, we haven't had combat sports on primetime television for free.
For free.
For free. For decades, maybe boxing decades, and now MMA back on the primetime. It's incredible news.
I want to ask you specifically, what do you think happens now? Okay, because you weren't on, so I'm just going to read it real quick. This was the quote, and this is the question that I want to ask you from Dana White. He said, "This is a historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. For the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model, making it more affordable and accessible to view the great fights on a massive platform. This deal puts UFC among the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by Paramount and CBS network under the new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who watches and loves the sport." So essentially what he's saying is what guys like you have been saying for years, right? I remember your content back, maybe a little after Mayweather Pac, but you had talked about the pay-per-view model being dead. Matt has made those comments before. The Prophet has made those comments before, Carlos. And over the years, it feels like the hardcore contingent has been screaming, boxing, they're stealing the fights. Stop making pay-per-views. What is this deal? Do you think it could put any pressure on boxing to deliver a true streaming platform, not DAZN's fake promise, but a true streaming platform? Does this put pressure on them, or will boxing just boxing?
Okay, we've got the biggest fight of the year coming up in less than 4 weeks right here in Las Vegas. The narrative across the entire world. Oh, look at the kitty cat.
Yeah.
I got to get my cat to podcast, man. I got a cat up the stairs refuses to come down. But listen, the biggest narrative going around right now is that Las Vegas is a dying city. Tourism is slumping all across the U.S., but they don't talk about that. They talk about Las Vegas is dead. This is the biggest fight of the decade, potentially. Whether it's a good fight or not, it's the first of its kind at Allegiant Stadium, the home of the Las Vegas Raiders. Will it save Las Vegas? Will it save boxing in the U.S.? It's on Netflix. I think you can buy a Netflix subscription for as low as what? Introductory rate, $6.99, $7.99. Can we get boxing on Netflix every week? Can we work? Can one of these promoters get something and convince Netflix? Because this is our only viable option to compete with something like this Paramount deal, right? Paramount already said we're done with Showtime. We don't have the money for it. The numbers are way too low. The viewership is way too low. Paramount is not going to come and pick up a boxing network or a boxing promoter like Top Rank. I don't see it. The PBC deal with Amazon Prime has been less than stellar. And to be honest, not that many people subscribe to Amazon Prime to watch it on their television. But Netflix,
that's a great point.
Netflix, Netflix could be our savior if somebody can just convince the executives there, whether it's could be Jake Paul for all I know. Who knows? I never underestimate that guy. One of these promoters needs to convince them that they could deliver that level of quality week in and week out. Otherwise, boxing domestically in the US is going to be in the same abhorrent hole mess that it's in, digging its own grave continuously. The UFC, we just can't compete against them. They're just so much more popular than boxing. And now at least they don't have to pay, the high cost of entry to be a boxing fan, which really, it handicaps even creators like you and I who spent all this amount of time trying to convince other people to watch the sport. Watch the sport. It's really good.
Great point, bro. Great point.
It's really, really hard. Obviously now as a content creator, you're like, well, shit, we have to talk about MMA. Everybody's going to be watching MMA.
Yeah.
Be able to watch it on Saturdays on CBS for all the big fights, maybe, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing, I've always been a proponent of the idea that if you show people, not fight fans, people, the best matchups that boxing has to offer, you will force their fandom. Like I hated boxing as a kid. Honestly, I was a wrestling fan at 5 years old, and my dad made us watch the Saturday fight or we could not watch the Sunday pay-per-view. He was a psycho. I don't know why he did that, but I'm glad he did, because at some point I got Chavez on my screen throwing a million punches and I was hooked on him. Then I got Pacquiao, Barrera, Morales, Marquez. Then I got trilogies like Gotti and Ward. And the sport made me a fan. I never asked to be a fan of boxing. They made me watch it. But then boxing made me a fan because the best fighters were fighting at least more frequently during that time. And boxing just sucked for a really long time, but during that moment. First of all, real quick, I just want to say, Rhonda, yes, Paramount is the main company. CBS is the network channel, right? So Paramount owns basically everything under that umbrella. So, for example, there was a short deal the UFC had with CBS once upon a time, or Paramount, and they had a CBS fight on UFC, or a UFC fight on CBS once. They had a Strike Force, I believe, and then they had the Kimbo Slice one. So CBS is kind of like dabbled in this, but the one thing that's good about this deal, if you're an MMA fan, is Paramount knows how to do live TV, right? They've been doing the NFL for quite some time. They get it right. They know how to do it. They know how to broadcast, all of that. The problems I've had with a lot of streamers has been their inability to come through at the biggest points in biggest fights. Look at Tyson and Paul. And I know that's a fight that we normally wouldn't really think about numbers like that, but still, like, Netflix was the leader of streaming and they couldn't handle that shit. So you're absolutely right. We need somebody who's established. Netflix is now, after they've been showing Raw live for since January. And Paramount is, after they've been in the NFL for so long. What I want to ask you is, do you think that fans could become fans of boxing in that way by just showing them the best fights? Or is boxing in a position where it needs to take advantage of like pop culture stuff? Like WWE's been having like iShowSpeed come through. They've been having like streamers like KSI come through, right, with Logan and them. UFC
that's a smart
gone
investment.
after Theo Vaughn and the comedians that have a huge platform, the podcasters, Schultz and all those guys. What do you think about that, though? Can boxing?
I'm not going to knock that. Look, my favorite tight end in the world, George Kittle. Shout out to all my Niners fans. George Kittle. He says that he wants to become a wrestler as soon as his NFL career is over. If his career ends in the next 2 years, he's saving his body to join the WWE. He loves the WWE. All those investments, like you said, iShowSpeed, those are all smart things, because we got a problem, just like Las Vegas has a problem. Let's tie this all back to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a Gen Z problem. Gen Z is not drinking the way the boomer generation drank. They're not drinking alcohol like Gen X drank. They're also, Gen Z's not watching combat sports the way us older generation of people are. They have a tie to the sport. They didn't grow up, like you said, watching these great champions. one of the things that bothers me the most that PBC did when PBC actually had that television deal with Fox was that they failed to showcase Gervonta Tank Davis, their biggest pay-per-view, their pay-per-view star. They could have had a fight on free television on Fox and showcased Gervonta Tank Davis. Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't. That was the biggest, that's the most marketable fighter that they had. They should have had him arrange to him the fight on free television so everybody could see a spectacular Gervonta Tank Davis knockout, even if it was an oversized, opponent that wasn't matching his skill set or whatnot. It just would have done so much for the sport. You have your star, and you failed to take advantage of that. They did show up incoming prospects like Jesus Ramos Jr., but I would argue that the fight we just saw with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, at one point I was watching the undercard on YouTube, which was on YouTube, the YouTube portion of it, and Lucas Body, who's going to be fighting in just a few weeks under the MVP promotion, he had 500,000 people watch his fight on YouTube.
Wow.
500,000 people.
Wow.
He peaked at 500,000 people. Where else could Lucas Body, a contender, have had 500,000 people watching? I watched it. It was saying 500K. It was peaking 498, 499. 500,000 people watched.
That's
this
incredible.
fight leading up to that Netflix bet. So how many people would have tuned in to watch Gervonta Tank Davis for free? Oh, nice to see you. Nice to see everybody in my chat. I appreciate you guys for being here. Veronica, SP for make sure you guys stop by Infighting FX and show Mario some love and subscribe to his channel as well. We're doing a dual stream. Great to see you, Sunshine. I hope everything's doing great in Sacramento.
Yeah, you make so many good points there. The Fox deal, all of that. One thing I felt like PBC messed up with is essentially they showed the entire TV world how boxing doesn't work, right? Like, remember, PBC was on Bravo, I think. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was on Bounce. It was on Fox. It was on CBS. It was, everywhere. They were on like 6 different networks at one point, and not one of them wanted to be in the boxing business after a year. Not one of them. And so that was a big issue for us back then. But the pay-per-view model is the thing that I feel like is holding back this sport. Now, let me ask you this. I don't want to get into like a lot of details because I'm not in a position where I know what I can talk about yet. But I've heard rumors, just rumors, but from very credible people, that the Ring is going to come out with their own shit. They're going to have a streaming platform. Turkey is working on it right now, and they're going to swallow DAZN. And the likelihood, and again, these are all rumors, but the likelihood is that there are going to be 2 price points. There's going to be the Ring Magazine price point, the platinum or whatever, that's going to get you access to all the DAZN fights. Then there's going to be the DAZN subscription, which you can have, that doesn't get you access to the Ring. And those are going to be literally all the shittiest fights that they have left over. Nobody with a name is going to be on that platform by itself anymore. And so I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it works. I don't even know how I feel about it. But what are your thoughts? Have you heard anything about a potential Ring streaming service, Turkey or anybody else working on? And if not, or if so, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a potential thing that could work? Obviously, DAZN dropped the ball on that, but with so much money that Turkey is throwing into the sport, could it work?
Is it going to offer free memberships for a year? If he really wants to throw money, right? They give you a 1-year free subscription to the first million people that sign up. All that's
anybody
that should have been. Same. It's just all more of the same, guys. The guys and girls that don't follow the boxing world, DAZN already failed, in my opinion. DAZN came out some 5 years ago, somewhere around 2017, longer than that, right? Maybe 20 before the pandemic. They came out. They said we signed Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is going to fight for 10 fights for $365 million, and we're going to give you every single Canelo pay-per-view for free. No more pay-per-views. Just sign up here for $9.99 a month. What happened to that? What happened to that? Right? They pulled the rug from underneath us. Oh, you know what? We changed our mind. We're going to give you boxing for $9.99, but if you want to watch Canelo, we're going to court with him because we realize we can't afford to pay him unless we do pay-per-views. We can't afford to generate $36 million per fight unless we do pay-per-view. the sooner all these people realize that you're not going to go out and buy a brand new car with a CD player in it. Those days are gone, bro.
Line right there.
Right? We're not going out and buying a brand new car with a CD player. Wake up. It's Bluetooth only these days. You don't need a physical CD. I don't care how you repackage pay-per-view. Pay-per-view is the death to American boxing. It just is. And for the MMA community, people that love UFC, they just got a huge gift, man. This is going to be, I saw what the average UFC fan is going to be able to spend now, what they're going to be required to spend, as opposed to what a boxing fan spends for each pay-per-view every month, if you're actually paying for them and whatnot.
Yeah.
You said it, man. How many people are actually paying for it versus using their little streaming device that may have it for free, Fire Sticks or whatever you're using? You're not going to get that revenue anyways. Figure out how to make the money in advertising like the NFL does.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Those MMA, those UFC big events, whatever, UFC 300, whatever it's going to be, they're going to kill it in advertising. People are going to say, I need to advertise on this show. I need to advertise on this. What's the advertising rate?
You're so right, bro.
Build the American boxing community back up. Get some stars. We have plenty of talent to make stars out of people, make them stars, show them on free TV against a valuable contender, and sell marketing. Hopefully, I'm being hopeful that something good is going to come out of Dana White's boxing league. Maybe he'll build some stars on his own network it's going to be, Zuffa Boxing. And maybe some of those fights will end up on the UFC MMA free. Maybe we've seen it before, an MMA ring and a boxing ring side by side. Maybe one of those fights will end up on his UFC card. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching here, but they definitely need to do something, and we need to do it now.
Well said. Well said. I want to make a point real quick that you just made me realize. And I'm going to use a metaphor from this past weekend. For those football fans out there, preseason was on and popping this past week. And something happened that was historic and yet not. A kicker for the, what was it? It wasn't Carolina. Who made the 70-yard field goal?
I don't know. Look, my Niners got problems. My Niners kicker can't make a 35-yarder. They're over here saying who can make 35 yards on a consistent basis. And shout out to all the Raiders fans.
It was Cam Little. Cam Little from the Jacksonville Jaguars made a 70-yard field goal in a preseason game against the Pittsburgh Steelers this past week. Now, the point I want to make, that kick, which would be the record for the longest kick ever, doesn't count. It was a preseason game, so it doesn't go in the record books. Officially, that did not take place in the NFL. Technically, when you go back 100 years from now, nobody will know Cam Little hit that 70-yard field goal. I mean, a few people will have it as like a nostalgic or like fun little quip, like, well, did you know that, blah, blah, blah in 2025.
So Shedeur Sanders doesn't get any actual TDs?
None, zero. Although I heard his Madden rating is now 89, so who knows? No,
wow, that's a but listen,
this is the point that Shoeshine has made to me, metaphorically. Boxing can do as well as it can. Okay, Boots. Let's talk about Boots Ennis now, and let's kind of sync them up. Boots can go out on October 11th. And have one of the best performances, put on one of the best fights, have a career highlight reel knockout. But it doesn't count. And I'm not saying it doesn't count on his record. I'm not saying it doesn't count for his ability in boxing or what he's learned that night. I'm saying it doesn't count because nobody's fucking watching it. The only people who are watching it are the same people that have already watched Boots Ennis and the same people that are going to watch Boots Ennis next year and the year after that. Us, the people that constantly watch it, but they don't need us anymore. They got us. Who do they need? They need the casuals. And until Boots is in a position, or boxing rather, is in a position where the fights like Boots and Lima are clearly free TV for anybody to watch, boxing will continue to hurt. Boxing will continue to produce the Cam Littles of the world. Those that go out and they are the best in the world at what they do, and they work hard and they perform at the highest level, but it doesn't count because nobody's watching. It's like cricket in America, right? Or rugby. Rugby is a super tough sport, dude. Rugby players are some of the most ballsiest people in the world, and yet their effort doesn't count nearly as much as a high school and a football player because the coverage is so much different. You know what I mean? So like, does it happen?
The pay-per-view model was built on the casual.
Yes,
casual.
it was built on the casual.
Like, there's the guys that used to watch boxing every fucking week, excuse my language. And then there was your friends at work that were like, all of a sudden the big pay-per-view is coming up, and your Filipino coworker that only watches boxing when Pacquiao fights is like, oh, big party, right? We're having a big party for Pacquiao. That pay-per-view model was built on getting the casual fans to watch together. Their superstar.
Yes, absolutely.
Ryan Garcia was supposed to be the casual superstar, the next casual superstar, right? The guy that girls in their 20s and their late teens are going to be like, I want to watch him fight.
The De La Hoya effect.
The De La Hoya effect. Okay, he's a bust. Like in football, quarterbacks, we have busts all the time. Trey Lance was a bust, right? Or not. Or maybe he's in preseason, he's looking pretty good.
We'll see, right? Yeah.
Maybe Ryan Garcia won't be a complete bust. But now they're talking about the son of Fernando Vargas, right? Emiliano is the next. He's got the it factor. He's got the it factor. That's why Top Rank put him on that card, on the very last fight card with Xander Zayas on ESPN, because they know
absolutely right.
We need to find the next Oscar De La Hoya. We need for Mexican American fight fans. It ain't Ryan Garcia. We got our own. Maybe we need to baby him to keep this undefeated record going. Without casual fans, the sport just is never going to expand. We need the casual fans. You brought up a great point. The WWE, they figured it out. They bring on, pop culture figures, I Show Speed and whatnot. I hate to say it. It feels like a circus sometimes, but boxing may need to bring that type of shit on board to get the casual fans interested.
Bro,
casual fans can become hardcore fans, because I was a casual fan. I was in late 90s. Okay. Oh wow, there's a pay-per-view. Oh really? Mike Tyson's fighting? Oh
yep.
I gotta watch that.
Same thing. Same thing. I remember thinking I was a hardcore, right? But not realizing how much more boxing was out there, and the sport got me. You know what I mean? It translated me, or transferred me into a hardcore. And I feel like that process is so broken today. The number of people that end up watching boxing is smaller. And then the number of people that end up being impressed so much so that they become fans, or they say, hey, I want to watch that guy's next fight, right? Because that's the way it worked. It didn't work like, oh, you saw Pacquiao fight and all of a sudden you're a huge boxing fan. No, you saw Pacquiao fight and then you want to see Pacquiao fight again. And then you wanted to see Marquez after that. And then you're like, holy shit, I got to watch this Bradley guy or whatever. And so it's all continuity. And it feels like boxing's continuity has been severely broken and dismembered. Yo, and by the way, Magic Mike, you were absolutely right. That field goal would have definitely gone 75 yards. By the way, shout out to Veronica, Walk with Rhonda. Bro, you got some really amazing people in your community.
It's hard. I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate we have female supporters that, that watch fight that watch fighting here and there, I know that for a fact that they watch fighting. What else were we going to touch on this week? If you don't mind, I wanted to send prayers to those families affected by the Japanese. The Japanese thing is crazy.
Crazy.
Have you talked about it at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. It made the New York Post. The New York Post. 2 Japanese fighters passed away who fought on the same exact card. 2 Japanese fighters on the same card have passed away. And there's actually a fighter, Angelo Leo, defended his title against Kamita.
Oh, yes.
That was about 3-4 weeks ago. No, even longer than that. Let me see. May 27th. May 27th.
Yo, the summer went so fast.
Yeah, Angelo Leo. I got a chance to meet him at the Cinco de Mayo fight in Vegas, and then he went and fought just weeks later. Right? There's still a fighter clinging to life right now. Shigeoka was the co-main attraction. IBF strawweight Jingiro Shigeoka have not heard any news since late May. I was looking it up. He had the exact same thing, guys. He had a subdural hematoma, and
Oh my God.
he had to have his brain sawed open. He's still not, from what I can find, he's still not out of the woods. He still may very well be in an induced coma fighting for his life. That would be, if he perishes, unfortunately, that would be 3 fighters, 3 boxers that have passed away in Japan. And I saw that fight. He had to be carried out on a stretcher, guys. When you see your favorite MMA fighters and and maybe a favorite boxer, if you love boxing, just remember, guys, they put it out all on the line. They're truly risking their life in each and every fight. It may not appear that way to you guys, but from what I understand, one of the Japanese fighters who perished, I'm sorry, he was on a level, whatever the word is, he passed away. He walked out of there on his own. He walked out of there, and still passed away from his injuries. So keep these fighters in your prayers, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man, for touching on that. Very important. We always have to be reminded of that. We always need to know, because the problem is that time passes from the last major thing and everybody forgets, right? I forgot what fight was on a couple weeks ago, and there were so many moments where the fighters were intentionally thrown to the back of the head. And I mean, the one fighter that comes to your mind immediately, right? And it's like, has too much time passed from that
The
not
Pritchard
enough people
Cologne story?
remember. Yeah, the Pritchard Cologne story, that people don't really, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm sorry, any shots to the back of the head, one warning, and then a disqualification is how I feel. I mean, it's we know now how dangerous they are, and we know now how little of an effort needs to be placed if hit in the right spot. So very important. Actually, the last topic I did want to go over with you real quick, I was going to do a breakdown later, but I do want to get your thoughts on this weekend
Mm-hmm.
and the big fight that I cannot wait, is it this weekend?
Yeah,
When
Moises
is
Itama.
yeah,
We got
Moises, right? It is this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the perfect segue from casual. I mean, we're looking at a potential Mike Tyson, the resurgence of a Mike Tyson type heavyweight. He's not extraordinarily tall for the division, but he's a short, compact powerhouse who just annihilates everybody in a destructive pattern that reminds me of Mike Tyson. He could be the casuals, the next Mike Tyson, but American fight fans aren't going to get to watch it unless you pay for DAZN.
Exactly.
That's the thing. How would you know? Mike Tyson was on as he developed on, probably on domestic television. But we're looking at a potential fighter that reminds me of Mike Tyson, and he's going to be fighting for the first time somebody who's been in the ring with a lot of great fighters. He's finally going to step up in competition, and we're going to see if he can knock out a veteran, a heavyweight veteran with some really good names on his resume. If he annihilates this, veteran, it's going to be very impressive, especially if he does it in under, 3 or 4 rounds like he has most of his opposition. There's also Raymond Ford, American former champion. That fight could steal the card. I think that's on with Abraham Nova.
Oh yeah, the no fight.
Individual. Yeah. Abraham Nova is the guy who just he's a kind of a fringe contender, not a fringe contender. He's a guy who almost could be a world champion, but every time he steps up to that level, he either loses in a controversial decision or he just fails to rise above the champion. Abraham Nova is going to be a good fight, man. That could be the best fight on the card, especially if Moises Itama, annihilates Dillian White. Is it Dillian White he's fighting?
Dillian White. Yeah. No, I agree, man. This is a huge fight because absolutely we have a guy who could break the casual barrier, right? But he's doing it against a very dangerous opponent, right? If you are not ready, Dillian White is the guy that will expose you. Now, everybody's been waiting for Dillian White to get old. And it hasn't happened. But that's always a thing that could happen, right? That said, though, when you look at his record over the last several years, right? He went on that 11 fight win streak after losing to Joshua, loses to Povetkin, and then comes back and redeems the loss. And after losing to Tyson Fury, he's been on a very impressive 3 fight win streak he beat Franklin, he beat Christian Hammer, and then Tete is who he beat in his last fight. And so you look at what a guy like Dillian White represents, and if Moses can go out there and truly walk through him, that is a big statement. It is a
Mm-hmm.
huge, huge statement. I mean, it's the kind of statement that guys like Andy Cruz and Lomachenko were hoping to make in their early careers. You know what I mean? So this is a big fight, but as you said, the problem is who's going to watch it, right? The people that need to watch it, or the people that aren't boxing fans that would be impressed by Moses, that would absolutely watch the fight and then say, "Wow, I got to see that guy again." Nobody like that is going to watch that fight. Nobody like that. It's just going to be us, in the UK, and
But
that's it.
that being said, for those listening right now, guys, Saturday night, when you guys are done with whatever you go on YouTube and type in Moises Itama, it's Itauma, and look for the highlight reel. Look to see what he did. Maybe he knocked him out, and you guys can watch his destructive power in just 3 minutes of
Absolutely.
your
And
time.
listen, as Shoeshine said, bro, this is a good ass card. The Raymond Ford fight, like you said, with Nova is a great fight. Nick Ball and Sam Goodman, I think
Oh
that's
God, I
gonna
forgot.
be a amazing scrap. Like that is a like if you play like a fantasy game where you like draft matchmakers and promoters, that's a matchmaker W right there.
But
You know what I'm saying? Like
he
they
got his
absolutely
title
nailed
off Raymond Ford. Let's not forget,
it.
guys.
Yeah,
Nick Ball, featherweight champion, a complete wrecking ball. He's beat every Mexican. Like there was a time where we had the Mexican fighter Ivanalo Lopez, who went across the globe and wrecked all Irish and UK comers. And then Nick Ball became the UK fighter, destroying all Mexican fighters. And he beat Raymond Ford, who's on the same card for his world title. So I don't know. Maybe it'd be great to see if Nick Ball, as small as he is, would revisit a fight with Raymond Ford at
I
some
would hope
point.
so for
You know,
sure, especially if they both
it
win,
was a
right?
close
Because that's
fight. It was a very close fight.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's the other thing too. It's like you put yourself in a position where you promotionally nailed it because now you got both guys fighting and they're on their way. And so if they both win on that card, it is the oldest promotional tool in the book to it's essentially a to be continued. You got one guy fights and wins, another guy fights and wins, and then we got to see it again. We got to see them fight now. And that's how you build the promotion. That's how I remember becoming fans of fighters, by watching them on the undercard of Mike Tyson or Chavez or De La Hoya and then saying, "Oh man, I got to see that guy Bernard Hopkins, or I got to see that guy Winky Wright, or I got to see that guy Trinidad," or whatever it was. Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. So you're going to go with Moises in this one, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Moises. Nick Ball defending his title. He's going to come up victorious, but I think that should be a very fun fight. And the Raymond Ford fight, I expect Raymond to overcome Abraham Nova. But Abraham Nova, always a tough out for anybody.
Absolutely. What about the Hrgovic and David Adelaide? That's a tough one for me, only because Hrgovic hasn't put together the performance yet. I'm gonna pick him, right? But David Adelaide's a guy who's been like he's a crafty veteran at this point. You know what I mean? Like if you can be exposed, he can take advantages. But you should beat a guy like David Adelaide. Like you have no business fighting for a title if you can't get through a guy like David Adelaide. So it's like to me a very good test fight. It's not necessarily a good matchmaking fight, but I think it's a good test fight.
All the heavyweights always save boxing. I'm all for it, man. You never know with the heavyweight division.
Oh yeah.
Anything could change in a blink of an eye with the heavyweight division. I'm just glad that one's on the card as well.
Me too. Listen, Shoeshine, thank you so much, champ,
Yeah,
for
no problem, man.
tapping in. That's gonna do it for us. I gotta cover Raw tonight, so you know how it goes. But I appreciate the entire community, both sides. Please, if you haven't, go and subscribe to Shoeshine Boxing on YouTube. And yeah, champ puts on a great show, one of my favorites. And then if you haven't, go over to Infighting Exchange. That's Infighting FX on all platforms: YouTube, IG, X, Twitch, Facebook, and then now TikTok, which I've been going live on, and will definitely be going live tomorrow on TikTok as well. So yeah, definitely happy. Shout out to Rhonda. Appreciate the sub. Appreciate everybody for subbing. It was very nice to meet you as well. Walk with Rhonda. You were an incredible
you got an
in
answer
the
for
chat
yeah,
today.
do you have an answer for Mike in the chat?
What did
He
he
said
say?
Tyson versus Ali.
If Tyson fought, both were 25 years old, who would you put your money on? That's a good question. Ali, though. I think the height would have caused Tyson a problem, like the movement plus the height, right? Like Tyson was a monster, but people often forget like he's a really short, small heavyweight, like in a lot of ways. You know, it would have been crazy to see Mike fight at this era of like the oversized heavyweights, like him and Joshua in the face off would have been just crazy hilarious. But yeah, anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody tapping in.
Thank you, guys.
Champ, appreciate you. Infighting FX, Shoe Shine Boxing. We're out. Peace.
Peace.